Tonight's DJ and TV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJ and TV Insiders.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of the PHDJ podcast with your boy Joe Bunn, and on the other end,
what's going on, Joe? This is Mike Walter. If anybody
there he
doesn't.
is.
How are you? I imagine 60 plus episodes in. We probably don't need the formal introductions, but maybe somebody.
No, man, I think we're always trying to attract new listeners,
new followers,
new listeners,
new fans.
Spread the word, subscribe,
exactly.
all that thing.
Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm geared up, ready for wedding season, ready to rock.
Me too. You know what I have this weekend?
What you got?
First time in a long time. Triple.
Wow.
I know that means nothing to the likes of like Big Daddy. That's that's a vacation. But I've got a Friday night wedding, Saturday night wedding, Sunday wedding.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I did 3. I'm looking forward to it. Kind of psyched.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of prep work involved, I'm sure. Yep. Yeah. That's the main thing. You know, it's like, you know, and I think you're even better at it than I am, is just starting way early, you know, a couple weeks early, starting to prep, starting to get the schedule together, playlist together. But yeah, man, I mean, he'll be exhausted on Monday, I can assure you that.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what's fun Monday? Going to the bank.
Yeah,
that's
buddy.
Good too.
I hear that.
Speaking of that, did you get your taxes done? Because it was due yesterday.
I did. Yeah, I got them done way early.
Kelly and I got a nice return this year. And I know that's stupid. Everybody's like, all you did was lend the government money. Right. But, you know, we didn't know. Kelly's brand new in business. So we were paying estimated taxes last year, and we overshot. So we're getting a nice chunk back, which, you know, I'd rather do that than be writing a big check this time of year.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah. Feels good.
I did okay. To be honest with you, Mike, and what do you pay in quarterly or monthly, or what do you do?
Well, we paid quarterly estimated taxes this year because, again, we just weren't sure about Kelly's income. Yeah. I mean, my income is pretty much set from year to year. I mean, I went up a little bit last year, but that just because I took on a few more gigs. Yeah. But we overshot with Kelly's income, and so that's good. I mean, we're getting money back. Yeah.
I got to the point, Mike, where I started paying in every month. So in the middle of the month, I think my federal.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
My federal comes out, and then at the end of the month, the state comes out. And so I still had a check to write, but it wasn't nearly as bad as, you know, 10 years ago when I had my old accountant. He would show up and be like, "Hey, buddy, taxes are due tomorrow. All right,
you're gonna have to sell your car."
Yeah, I'm gonna need about $20K. What?
Yeah, you're like, what? Yeah, that can be a little rough.
That's your job, buddy.
Right.
Anyway, so it got done a couple of weeks ago, and I'm all good.
Good.
Another year out of prison. Feels good.
Exactly, yeah. Who's the actor that was it, Denzel?
What was that?
I know there was an African-American actor who like just never paid taxes.
Oh, no, it was Snipes. Wesley Snipes.
Oh, Wesley Snipes, yeah.
He definitely went to prison.
Yeah, he just said like, I'm not paying taxes. And I think he made he promoted that fact. He was proud of it. Like, no, I'm not paying taxes. I earned this money. It's not yours. You know. Did you see Cardi B's rant this week about?
No.
Yeah, she put up a rant. You know, apparently this was the first year she made a chunk of money.
Absolutely.
And so she probably just paid a chunk. And
Absolutely.
she was yelling that she wanted to see receipts from the government. I want to know what you're doing with my money. I want receipts. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, Cardi, we all want receipts, but we ain't gonna get them.
No, that ain't gonna happen. I also saw a guilty pleasure of mine back in the day was Jersey Shore, and so they have a redux. You know, they're all back together.
Yeah,
again.
I never got into that show. I was always semi-embarrassed that it took place 10 miles down the road.
Exactly.
I knew that show more from the Saturday Night Live spoof
Skits,
of it,
right?
Than that. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm not watching the redo.
So Randy was like, "Man, you know, just watch the first episode," and so they introduced the cast again. And you know that guy, the situation. Well, one, he's gotten super heavy, and two,
no more abs.
No, he's heavy. He said the situation. don't even know why I'm entertained by this. The situation's under construction. That's what he said when he came on.
I don't understand. If your whole thing is your abs, how do you let that go? I mean, that was your one thing.
No, he did.
It weren't the situation. Well, didn't he name his abs?
I'm getting to the point, though. The point was, I think he was chubby because he's facing a federal charge for not paying his taxes.
Oh, that was him too.
Yeah, him too. Got to pay your taxes, people. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're a listener and you missed it because it was due, well, we're recording Wednesday.
File that extension.
File that extension and just pay them. The government will get you in the end.
They will get you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about we'll call it the side hustle. All right. So
second week in a row, we're kind of tapping off of Brian Bonacisi.
Yeah. And so Mike, since you are, I will call you the Lord of Facebook. You are much.
God, I don't know if I'd go that far, but okay.
How about the court jester, not the Lord?
Okay.
You are much more dialed into Facebook than I am. Can you just walk the listeners back through just a quick recap of Brian's article, which I read last night in Disc Jockey News, and thank you for the kind words you said about me in there. I appreciate you. Okay. And just kind of briefly walk them through kind of what Brian's article said, kind of what some of the responses were.
So it's funny. I read Byron Gunter's post about Brian's article before I read Brian's article.
Okay.
So Byron Gunter, who is the gentleman who spoke out in Las Vegas, he owns a multi-op in Columbus, I believe. And for those of you who weren't in Vegas, Byron apparently, he's a tell it like it is, shoot from the hip kind of guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't edit himself. And so he put up a post about how crazy the whole concept of having a side hustle was. And I don't want to paraphrase here, I am paraphrasing, but if you own a successful business, why do you even need a side hustle, et cetera, et cetera. And Byron made some good points. And then I read Brian's article, and I thought Brian makes some good points too. Brian's point is even if you don't financially need some money coming in, it's good to have a secondary source. If the DJ business goes down, it's nice to be able to have something else to tap into. You can network through some other opportunities and maybe bring business to your main business by having a side hustle, et cetera, et cetera. So those are two recaps. And if you'd like to go back to the sources, Brian's article appeared in this month's Disc Jockey News.
Which, if you don't get, by the way,
what is it? $25? It's ridiculous. Just go write a check,
guys.
Go sign up online. It's a great publication every month. Yeah, exactly. Anyway. And then secondly, Byron Gunter is on Facebook, so you can go back and read his post. So instead of me paraphrasing, that's the go back to the source. But so I'm glad you picked this as a topic because I thought it was really interesting, and it's one of those things I definitely see both sides of the article of the argument. I didn't consider myself to have a side hustle, but Brian mentions both you and I in his article about having side hustles. I'd never considered something like the PHDJ workshop a side hustle. Do you think that that's a side hustle?
That was kind of really when I was looking through the topics that you and I were choosing from to get ready for the show. That was kind of one of the things I wanted to touch on. So it's almost like side hustle versus side job. So I don't really look at it as a side hustle, no, because I still think it's an extension of what you and I do for a living, which is play music, or we're DJs or MCs, whatever you want to call us. We don't want to get into that. That was last week's episode, people, if you want to tune into that.
Right.
But whatever you want to call yourself, and it really relates to, and I've made this point before. I usually speak at the college here, NC State, a couple of times a year, and I always make this point that everything that I ever did over the last, let me see, I graduated in 94, 24 years since I graduated from college, that was a failure had nothing to do with DJing. Everything that I did that was successful, this podcast, the workshop, the DJ booths, the articles and magazines, the seminars, that had to do with DJing, because that was what my key passion was what I consider a success.
Right.
Whether 500 people listen to it or 50 people listen to it. I made that post yesterday and tagged you in it, where when people make those kind of comments that we've helped their business, then I know that this is a successful endeavor. So To answer your question, Mike, sorry, long answer, short question. No, I don't consider it a side hustle because it's just, I consider it more just an extension of what we already do. Mm-hmm. What about you? Well,
I didn't until Brian mentioned it in the article, and I thought to myself, well, yeah, I mean, let's take the workshop, for example. You and I both, we get some income from that workshop.
Sure.
That's not, it has nothing to do with owning Elite Entertainment. I mean, by owning Elite Entertainment, I got the opportunity to do the workshop, but I could give up that workshop and it wouldn't affect Elite Entertainment one bit. So in a way, it sort of is a side hustle because I make my money from Elite, from owning that company and DJing for my company. But then I've also got this other income coming in from a workshop, which is DJ related, but it is sort of a side hustle. So it's not as much of a side hustle as driving an Uber, like Brian suggested. That has not; those two things have nothing to do with each other. And the fact that Brian can kind of tie them together and saying, well, you could potentially get a client from driving a car who says, oh, by the way, I DJ. Oh, here's my card. Yeah. Well, that's fine. But like you just said before we went online, you were at the gym yesterday. You can make that same argument about the gym.
Yeah.
You've probably, I know you're a great networker. You've probably booked events through the years from people you met at the gym.
Yeah.
I've booked I'll never forget a wedding I did, which then led to like 4 other weddings from a woman who was a teller at the bank I was going to years ago. I used to, walk in with my checks every day, say hello to her, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of years later, she said, oh, by the way, I'm getting married. I need your card. So, we all get leads and we network in our everyday life. So the fact that Brian wants to tie that together with driving an Uber, you could not drive an Uber and still get leads. So I think it was a good attempt by Brian to kind of tie the two together. Yeah. But let's face it, you don't take an Uber job to get potential brides. You take an Uber job to make extra money. Sure. Or, and his point is also, it's not just a financial thing. Sometimes it's just good to have stuff to do. I agree. I like to stay busy.
Me too.
Other than the summertime, where to me busyness is laying on a beach and chilling.
I love that too.
Yeah, exactly. But I would get bored quickly. So having something else to do other than your business, I think, is a good thing. So, like I said, I'm indecisive on it because I definitely see both sides of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make this point though. When I saw Byron's post about Facebook, the very first thing I thought of was years and years ago. I saw Eddie Murphy, an interview with Eddie Murphy. Mm-hmm. And somebody asked him, do you have any advice for up and coming comics? He said, devote yourself 100%. Don't have a net. He said, because if you have something else to fall back on, you'll quit when the going gets tough. If this is the only thing you know how to do and you are 100% committed to making it in comedy, you will stick it out through the thick and, through the worst parts. And that's your best chance of becoming successful. So the first thing I thought of when I saw the argument was, I think there's something to that if you have something to fall back on, you're much more likely to say, when the going gets tough, and you and I both know running a multi-op, sometimes it can get tough. You might just go, never mind, it's not worth it. I'll go do that. Whereas if you look and you go, I got no other way to make money, so you're going to stick it out. So that was the one thing I thought of that I think Brian neglects in his side hustle argument, that maybe a side hustle could actually take you away from your main hustle.
Okay, so just going along with that, are things like, and again, you guys are in your office and maybe even your region even more dialed into the add-ons, let's call them. Are those considered side hustles to you? So you're uplighting, your
it's
spark
funny you say that. I don't think so, but I know some people that would make that argument in our industry. Well, if you made enough money as a DJ, then you wouldn't need to, or you wouldn't bother. Well, those things are better off delegated to a lighting company, to a separate production company. I don't think that at all. I think they are natural extensions, much more naturally than you and I do in the workshop, or me writing a book, or you putting out a video for the DJ industry. Those are extensions, but they're extensions, and I'm using hand signals for YouTube. To me, booking upgrades or even just opening, like I talk about in a workshop, I opened up a video studio about 10 years ago. We opened a photography studio. Those are more natural extensions to what we do. But yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why it takes me forever to do my taxes, going back to is that I need Elite Entertainment to be finished with its taxes. I need my photo company to be finished. I need all these other companies that I own or co-own to be done with their taxes before I can file mine. So yeah, is me owning a photo or co-owning a photo studio a side hustle?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I guess kind of. I mean,
well, so that's a side hustle. But what if you're the guy that, you know, is, and we know a lot of these people from the workshop, from, you know, even from year one when we did this, I don't know, starting 4 or 5 years ago, that are still 9 to 5ing it with, I'm just going to say IBM or, you know, Verizon or whatever, and want to get out. That's more of a, I guess at that point, the DJing is their side.
I would agree. Job. I was going to say that. I didn't want to cut you off, but I'm glad you made that point. I think at that point they have a career, and DJing is a side hustle.
Right.
And to me, that's a very difficult thing to give up because, you and I have talked to people who go through that transition.
Sure.
Quitting that day job and jumping into the unknown and saying this DJing thing that was a side hustle is now going to become my main hustle. And especially if you have family to support, that can be a very difficult leap into the unknown. It can be really hard.
Well, I think, Mike, going back to that point and just kind of touching on this, because you and I give out a lot of advice, and I know that you get a lot of emails and direct messages and you know, communication, text, things like that from different DJs all over the country.
Just had a chat the other day with a guy who, loyal listener, loves both of us, and he sent me a message. He said he had a couple questions, and by the way, he did it the right way. He sent me a message. He said, "Can I get 10 minutes of your time?"
Yeah.
We arranged a time, and you know, he called me, and please, if you're going to reach out to either Joe or I, just give us a heads up.
Yep.
Say, hey, we'd like to talk. When would be a good time? But yeah, I just did it this week. I spent, I don't know, 20 minutes on the phone with this guy.
So you've gotten this question then inevitably, and I know you have, and it's gonna, and to me, it's one of the most stressful questions that I have to answer. When do I know when to quit my full-time job, or how do I know when to quit my full-time?
And I don't when you say stressful, I think I know what you mean.
I mean,
I don't want to be the one to say do it tomorrow, and then a month from and then a month from now, this guy's, you know, impoverished, losing his house, and he's going, "You told me to give up my day job." So I always feel very like I'm treading on eggshells when I have those conversations, because so much of it has to do, the word hustle has come up so much here. So much of it has to do with how much is this person willing to hustle to make it. And that, I don't know. It's, you know, they sound good on the phone, and they sound like they're hungry and everything else. But
the website looks good.
Yeah,
and the marketing
exactly. But when they give up that day job, are they going to spend half of those 40 hours now sitting on a couch playing video games, or are they going to hit the ground running and get super serious about this job?
Right.
That you don't know, and that has so much to do with whether you're going to be successful or
but
not.
Also, Mike, don't you think it has to do with, you know, the money they've saved up? You know, like you said, how many kids they do have, how underwater are they in their house and their 2 cars? You know, are you going to be able to pay the $800 to $1,200 in health insurance that you just lost from, you know, IBM? Like, there's so many factors to it that I don't know that I've ever given. I don't know that I've ever. That's probably my weakest advice I've ever given, is I just never seem to get to the answer on that question.
Yeah, and having this the nest egg, if you will, something put aside for it is extremely important. That is a question I ask. If you quit your day job and you don't make an extra penny for the first 4 months, could you survive?
Sure.
And if not, then I say then don't do it yet. Pack more money away.
Yeah.
Just aggressively pack it away.
Tell me one more time what the number was, Mike, or the
I think it should be at least. I think at least 4 months. I think you should be able to do 4 months of, hey, I'm getting my name out there. I'm rolling up my sleeve. I'm networking. I'm taking events, but maybe money's not coming in yet. You should be able to survive at least 4 months. So whatever your monthly nut is times 4, you should have that saved up, at least minimum.
I mean, I'm sitting here like literally putting that in my phone right now because I like that. I mean, I think it's a great number to have, and a little bit of like you said, a nest egg or something to fall back on. There was something else I was getting ready to.
So I wanted to make one more point about the side hustle,
sure.
and this came up in a conversation years ago. Having us as a multi-op owner now, if you're a single op, by all means, you do whatever you want. But as a multi-op owner, if you have a side hustle, what does that tell your staff? And the reason I bring this up, I remember years and years ago, we shared an office in a 5-story building, and there was a bartending school in that office.
Yeah.
We were sitting around shooting the shit one day, a bunch of our staff, and I said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to take some lessons in bartending. I've always wanted to be a bartender. And one of my guys said, ooh, are things that bad?
Oh.
And I thought, no. And it wasn't really.
Right.
I was just like, no, I really just always had an interest in bartending. But, and again, when this conversation came up with Brian's article and Byron's comeback, I thought that's something. And Brian, again, he's a single, he owns multi-ops down in Florida, but I don't know that he has a staff that would say, hey, Brian, what's going on here? I noticed you driving an Uber. Are things okay? Am I, and I've always thought, and I talk about this in my book, that one of the important things about growing a multi-op is your DJs need to believe that they're on the right ship. I mean, when I left Star years ago, it was and I worked inside the office, so I had the benefit of seeing this. I saw the fact that we were going downhill.
Yeah.
The owners had made some really bad financial decisions. We were in debt way more than we could pay. And so, I hate to use the analogy, but I felt like a rat jumping off a ship because I saw it. And I think it's important if you're going to run a multi-op to instill in your DJs that things are great. That's why I've never once in my career paid DJs late.
Yep.
They get a paycheck every Monday morning.
Man, I couldn't agree more.
And I know some guys who cut a check to their guys and go, here's your paycheck, but don't cash it till Thursday.
Nope.
I think all that does is tell somebody, hey, man, maybe I'm not with the right company. So I don't know what, if my guys saw that I was driving an Uber on the weekends or bartending or waiting or whatever, I don't know what that would tell them.
Yeah. It doesn't instill a lot of confidence. Again, as the owner of a multi-op. Again, you're a single op and you want to, you go through that January, February, or July or August and you want to pick up something on the side, that makes sense. But when you're the leader, as you pointed out, it would have been a lot different if the place next door wasn't a bartending school, it was a jiu-jitsu school. And then they would have been like, yeah, cool, Mike, you're going to go get in shape. You know what I mean?
Well, right. It wasn't a matter of that. It was, I was saying, hey, I've always wanted to do that. And I really have. I mean, I've always thought bartending would be a cool thing to do. I'm a people person. I'm a conversationalist. So I like sitting down at a bar with a bartender who can interact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody who's funny and witty and, you have that kind of like human interaction. So I've always thought about being on the opposite end of that. It would be kind of fun. And maybe that's something I do when I retire or whatever.
Sure.
But I remember that conversation and somebody went, oh, wait, are things that bad? And I was like, no, it's not like that.
Right.
So I wonder what message that sends to somebody on your staff. It's something to consider.
It is, absolutely. I also, Mike, was in terms of the money thing, in terms of switching from your full-time to or your full-time job, whatever you do as a career, to DJing. I think the most important thing, and I know this is kind of a side topic to the side hustle topic, is before I do anything, I would say now, when I was younger, I literally would be like, we're going to start a record company? Cool, let's start a record company. Oh, we're going to start a clothing company? Let's start a clothing company. If you're going to do anything, the first thing that you need to have on your staff, period, is a good accountant. Do you have a good accountant, Mike? I'm assuming.
Yes, I do.
Been with the same person how long?
Yep. Well, I have a bookkeeper and an accountant.
Okay.
My bookkeeper's been with me forever.
Right.
I switched accountants about 4 years ago, and she's phenomenal.
Switched about 10 years ago because the guy was not phenomenal, and my new one is phenomenal. Does, 15, 20 people in the wedding industry just in Raleigh alone, just, amongst 100 other clients, 3 or 4 people, small company, still works for herself. But my point is, anything that I am thinking about doing now, I say, can I schedule a 1-hour consult with you, Madeline, and come to your office? And we will literally sit down, and she'll open a blank spreadsheet, and she'll go, Joe, how many, and this would be if I was starting from scratch, how many gigs do you realistically think you're going to do, in 2018? 40. Okay. How many do you think you can book for your, the next guy you hire? 10. And what do you think the average price tag is going to be? I don't know, $1,500. Okay, so that's X dollars. Now let's back out taxes. So she backs that out. What are you going to need to buy, to pull these gigs off? She will literally sit there for an hour, and by the end of it, she is pretty much spot on. Like, this will be profitable 10 years from now, or you can get your money back 2 years. Can you ride it out 2 years? Like, do yourself a favor and don't try and do this, as I've always said before. Don't try and do things that you're not good at. Hire somebody else to do them. Get help. It'll cost you, I don't know, at the worst, $150 for that hour of time, right? Even from somebody top dog, and I promise you, they will be able to guide you the right way. That's
so. As you started telling that story, it made me think. First of all, we should both thank Mitch Taylor. He wrote a glowing review about our PHDJ workshop.
He did.
Thank you, Mitch. And again, going back to this issue of Disc Jockey News, that's where it appeared. Thank you, Mitch. It was really nice of you. And one of the things that Mitch mentions was something that was a nugget that I throw out there about ideas. If you have an idea that you want in your business, personal life, put it on the shelf and revisit it in 2 weeks.
Yep.
If it's still a good idea, then run with it. But if not, I think too many times we as business owners have an idea that we think is great, and we throw a bunch of time and effort and money into it, and then 3 days later we realize, oh yeah, this isn't a great idea.
Right.
But if we had stuck it on the shelf and waited for it and let it, sit there, revisit it, and then go, yeah, now it makes sense. Or sometimes that initial enthusiasm wanes and we go,
right.
Oh yeah,
why did I buy a photo booth with a jetpack? Like,
right, exactly, right.
$40K. Right. I just
thank you for sharing that, Mitch. Mitch shared it in the article, and I started thinking about it when you were talking about it. Yeah, going to an accountant and having somebody who's outside your business and doesn't share your enthusiasm, but will look at something practical is a really good idea for something like that.
There's also a good review in there about my new DVD as well.
Yes.
Mr. Lindström did that. That was very nice. So anyway,
nice.
Again, guys, if you don't have Disc Jockey News, really, we can't stress that enough. I mean, they're not.
And if you can't afford it, get a side hustle so that you can afford it.
Get some uplights or something.
Right.
Drive an Uber and get a subscription. Yeah. Well, I think we tackled this pretty well, Mike. I mean, we went a little sideways on it, but I think we gave some good advice today. I hope we did. Again, guys, always please comment when we post a video underneath it for the things you want us to copy or to cover. Also, make sure you always subscribe on YouTube. That helps, and leave a comment. And then, again, I'll give this number out. If you've already texted the word PHDJ to it, don't worry about doing it again. We've got you dialed in. But 919-364-6186. Just text PHDJ to that number, and you'll be the first in the loop with all the good things. Mike, I know I put it on the Facebook page, probably unbeknownst to you. I did put the 2019 workshop dates. I think it was a little premature.
You're being optimistic.
I'm optimistic. That's the word. That's the word. Yeah. But
well, we should say that we've had preliminary talks with the people at Mobile Beat.
Yes, we have.
Nothing has been locked in yet, but we are very eager. And we hope to dovetail it. But can we definitely say we'll do a 2019 workshop?
100%.
We're not going to do another one this year, but we will. So if our negotiations with Mobile Beat don't come to fruition, we will figure out, probably back down in Raleigh, we will figure out a way to do a 2019.
100%.
Right?
100%.
100%. Okay. Good.
Well, cool, guys. Thank you again for listening, and tune in every week. We appreciate y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Later, Mike.